Hours ago, we got news that the Strait of Hormuz is once again closed. And the stock market responded to this news by crashing. But Bitcoin is still holding up at 80K, its highest price since January. What exactly is happening? But before I get into all the details surrounding today's breaking news, I want to once again remind you of this BlackRock report that we covered a long time ago, because I think it's going to help explain what might come next, or rather what we're living through literally at this moment. So here we go. Let me pull this up for you guys. Again, we've covered this in the past, so if you've been on the show, forgive me for repeating a little bit here, but it does put a good context of what we're seeing. And before actually I get into it, let's remind everyone, Bitcoin has been the best performing thing in the market since this war started. And that was one of the most interesting signals of this whole conflict. A lot of it, including me, expected Bitcoin to completely get cooked when the initial assault happened in February, right? Was it February? Yeah, I forget when this whole thing started, about 2-3 months ago. So yeah, about February. I was expecting on that Monday we would show up to work and Bitcoin would cater. It would just crater. It would just completely nuked. That didn't happen. And I've been telling you guys for the last couple of weeks, that is the most interesting thing happening right now, is that Bitcoin is slowly grinding higher. And then I was reminded of this article here, or rather a BlackRock report. It is titled Bitcoin, a Unique Diversifier. And look at the date, September 16th, 2025. So we covered this a long time ago. But there is one chart in here that I think really explains what we're seeing happening right now. And it is on page 6 of this report. And it is, of course, titled What Makes Bitcoin Relevant. And it's showing the 10-day and 60-day returns of the biggest conflicts we've seen since, 2020? And Bitcoin has outperformed everything. Every single thing, basically on a 10-day to a 60-day time frame. And I'm not going to cover everything here because I've covered this in the past, but just keeping that in context of what we're seeing happen today is one of the obviously more unique aspects of Bitcoin. Essentially, Bitcoin usually either front runs the calamities that we see on the geopolitical level, and then once things kind of get smoothed out and we actually have a little better information, a bit better idea of what's happening, it starts to front run the pump afterwards. And I don't know I really don't know what we're seeing happen right now, considering that like Bitcoin's at 80K again. I know you guys know I've been bullish. I'm like, yo, is Bitcoin breaking out right now? I don't know. I can't tell you with a 100% guarantee of what's going on. But anyways, let me get to today's news. So if you've been following along, actually, I didn't even pull it up, but let me go back a little bit. If you've been following Trump on Truth Social, on Friday, he sent a letter to Congress. And he basically said that the war effort or the mission, whatever, the Iran conflict was terminated on Friday. So he sent that to Congress on Friday, that basically all of our efforts are terminated in the Middle East. Yes, we will still have a blockade, but it seemed like the assaults were going to be done. That's what we heard Friday. And then as we heard, I think it was this morning. I think it was this morning or maybe late last night. And here's NBC News covering it. There's a little bit of confusion on what is actually happening over there. So this headline is, U.S. denies Iranian claim that it hit American warship as Trump launches mission to reopen Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. said 2 American flagged commercial vessels transited the critical waterway Monday as part of the new Project Freedom. Now, the kind of details of this is in the first paragraph. So the U.S. military on Monday rejected Iranian claims to obstruct an American warship trying to enter the Strait of Hormuz, and said that the first commercial ships has transited the critical waterway as part of course, President Trump's new mission to guide stranded vessels. So on Twitter, we were hearing that 2 ships tried to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, at least as the Iranian officials or the Iranian army was saying, the Iranian, military guard was saying, we bombed 2 ships. So that was the initial confusion. Then we come out and say, or we as the U.S., the Trump and our military come out, it's like, no, that's not what happened. These ships went through. And that was all the confusion this morning. And in response to all of this, we also just saw, literally right before I went live on the show, and I did have to verify this a couple of times, but from everyone posting on Twitter, I didn't see an official headline coming out of the legacy media yet, but it looks like Iran has shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, a bunch of people are tweeting it now. Earlier this morning, it didn't seem that much, but I saw a couple of accounts that I do trust saying, looks like the Strait of Hormuz is now closed. As we speak, it is apparently closed. I'm sure this is going to evolve even more. But at the same time, once this news hit Twitter, we saw the stock market currently, before I went live, they were down, S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, they're all down about 1%. So only 100 bips. But at the same time, about, quarter to $500 billion wiped out of the stock market on this news. But at the same time, Bitcoin has been kissing 80K all morning. It hit it last night. It hit it this morning. And right before I went live, actually, I'll pull up the live price, I guess. We are still above 80K. Well, we're still at 80K. Here you go. We're at 80K. As we speak, it is still hovering around 80K. So stock market is dumping. Bitcoin is still going up at 80K. It really makes me and every one of my friends be like, yo, are we breaking out? Are we back? And I literally tweeted this morning. I'm like, everyone's feeling bullish, but we're too afraid to say that we're actually bullish right now. And I did do a self-test here on where am I on the Wall Street psychology cheat sheet. And I can't make up my mind whether I'm in a disbelief or in hope range. Am I like, this is a suckers rally? I am hopeful, but I'm also part of me thinking like we might dump a little more. It might go down a little bit. But again, in the face of what we're seeing happen, it looks like everything that was really calm waters the last couple of weeks is now we're right back into the thick of it. It looks like, nothing's changed in the Middle East, even though we had like a 3-week kind of ceasefire, kind of tensions were de-escalated. But again, I'll show you. Here's updated. I guess it was 200 billion. I got a couple different metrics. Some people said 250 billion, 200 billion. I saw someone post like 520 billion, but a quarter of $1 trillion wiped out of the stock market this morning. Now, at the same time, another interesting thing happened in the bond markets this morning, which again, a lot of confusion about exactly what happened in the bond markets, but either there's a glitch in the bond market this morning or we are seeing a massive dump of U.S. Treasury bills in a very short time. So here's a tweet covering it. This is absolutely insane. Either this is a glitch or someone is massively dumping U.S. Treasury bills. And if that's true, it's a major player. And we're talking country level. Look at these charts. It's absolutely insane on the 2-year, the 5-year, 20-year, 30-year. Like, you don't see this happening. This doesn't happen. And I did see another person tweet about this, and it was like Grok verified. So, if you're an AI guy, was confirmed by AI. But we're seeing some crazy stuff happen in the geopolitical macro landscape. And I'm only bringing that up because in the context of what Bitcoin is doing, it's going to the idea like, is this the Bitcoin decouple, Bitcoin breakout happening as we speak? Here's last night's liquidation. About $108 million of levered Bitcoin shorts were liquidated. I could update you this because We saw this happen this morning. If you guys were watching the price, it went to 80K last night, late last night, and then it kind of barred down to 79K. And then this morning, it climbed again, and now we're at 80K. So, sorry, I'm distracted by the chat. Opium is a powerful drug. Yeah, dude, it totally is. So, you know, all right, I don't mean to TA here, but this is, you know, I've been showing you my lines. We have this trend line. We did secure the 78, and I have this kind of inflection point here circled where I was saying this before I saw it rise back up to 80K. I'm like, all right, I'm expecting the next couple of days that we might test down here. If we break below 75, I'm not going to be feeling very good about it. But if we continue to climb up to this 82K range, which, you know, was the November kind of low, things are getting, oh, I didn't pull it up. Things are getting very interesting. Guys, is the decoupling in the room with us now? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying right now. That is the idea. I hope this isn't a rally to sell and man go away. Yeah. I know. Sorry, guys. I forgot. You know, I'm over here alone doing, dude, I'm losing my mind alone over here. I feel like an abandoned child over here on the show. But anyways, in context of what we're seeing in the geopolitical macro landscape, reminding you of what that BlackRock report said that was posted months ago, over 6 months ago at this point, right? It does hold true. Bitcoin, as we've seen in this last geopolitical conflict or geopolitical event, Bitcoin is the best performing thing since the start of the war, which was kind of a troll that I was saying for a little bit. I was kind of joking about it for a couple of weeks. Me and Sophie were joking about it. It was like, wait, I thought war was bad for Bitcoin, but is this war actually good for Bitcoin? As we've seen, actually, there was an interesting Reuters article over the weekend, which said something on the lines of about 10% of the Iranian population is invested in Bitcoin and crypto. So I'm guessing Bitcoin and some form of stable coin, which equals out to about 11 million citizens that are now looking into Bitcoin, using Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin. And we all know the big news that originally came out of the Strait of Hormuz is that they were supposedly trying to get payments in Bitcoin and like a stable coin Chinese yuan here. Didn't really hear too much about ships actually going through and using Bitcoin in that scenario. The only time I really heard about it was like a scamming event. A boat got scammed out of their Bitcoin and crypto. But as you're seeing, does this not verify a lot of the things as Bitcoiners have been saying for the longest time? That the world needs a politically neutral, censorship-resistant, permissionless money. And now, in the face of this conflict, mission, war, whatever they're calling it today, operation, we're seeing that Bitcoin in this context has been shifted, or the Overton window has been shifted to now, hey, if you are a country, and also, I didn't pull this up. Actually didn't bring this up on the show, but we also heard over the weekend that Scott Bessent was basically saying that they confiscated a bunch of stable coins from Iran. So as you can see, throughout this whole conflict, one of the kind of more quieter stories about the war in Iran, or again, operation, mission, who knows what they're calling it today, is that Bitcoin and stablecoins have taken a very important role in this whole operation, whether it's from the US side or the Iranian side. And that's what is most interesting to me today, not just the fact that Bitcoin's at 80K, but the fact that it seems like we have definitely escalated the timeline here. We have moved the timeline forward where Bitcoin is obviously taking the world stage in a politically neutral way. Obviously, there is going to be a fight on whether they can stop them or not. But also in a macro hedge against inflation, a macro hedge against political uncertainty, a macro hedge against your government trying to crack down on you. All of these narratives are converging at one time, and Bitcoin is at 80K. That is the signal here today. That is what I want you guys to remember throughout the rest of this month, this year, is it's no longer just a theory. It's no longer just, Bitcoin Anons on Twitter talking about that one day this is going to happen, that we are going to see a nation state race towards using Bitcoin, acquiring Bitcoin, getting hash rate. The Jason Lowery soft war thesis is playing out right now. Yes, it's the very beginning. And let me remind you of what we saw last week. Actually, the last few weeks. We saw multiple politicians, people in positions of power, mention Bitcoin as a, quote, national security asset. We saw Pete Hegseth, and we saw that 4-star admiral, I always butchers, that's like Paparo, I believe it was. And then we saw there was someone else who mentioned Bitcoin as a national security asset. So you're seeing this is all happening in real time. This isn't me just making up, clickbait headlines. This isn't me just spinning a narrative here. This is actually happening. Iran is using Bitcoin on a state level. The Iranian, what is the IRGC? I forget what the R stands for right now, but they want Bitcoin. The citizens want Bitcoin. We're seeing our military and federal government administration basically say, hey, Bitcoin is a big concern happening right now. You're seeing that in the face of a new escalation in the Middle East, Bitcoin is pumping while everything else is down, while we're seeing potentially a huge seller in bond markets. Bitcoin is up. We're seeing oil go up. Energy's getting more expensive, but Bitcoin's still up. It's very interesting how resilient Bitcoin has been through this war. And I remember the first time I said that on this show, people are like, how could you say Bitcoin's resilient right now? It's under 100K. It's only at 70K. I'm like, yeah, that's the point here. I would have expected it to drop. But we're getting the slow grind higher that all the institutions have been talking about. And let's not forget that we just saw Morgan Stanley at the Bitcoin conference say they're recommending 4%. We're seeing, Charles Schwab about to launch Bitcoin trading. JP Morgan has been talking about, or rather working towards using Bitcoin as collateral. Wall Street's embracing Bitcoin. We're seeing a geopolitical nation state fight over using Bitcoin. We're seeing people talk about Bitcoin as the best performing hedge against inflation, hedge against political uncertainty that there's ever been. And yet, everyone is still waiting for 40K. I wouldn't want to be a bear right now, is all I'm saying. I wouldn't want to be a bear right now because they might be wrong about it. Now, again, I am a bit, I would say maybe nervous. I am also hedging my bet right now. I am kind of in disbelief right now. Even though I'm hopeful, I'm obviously bullish. I always tell you guys, I confirm my own bias here constantly. I do always view Bitcoin bullish. But part of me is also like, it could be a sucker's rally. I don't want it to be a sucker's rally. As I said earlier, I think we're all getting bullish, but we're too afraid to say that we're getting bullish because we know the algorithm traders are going to freaking liquidate us and we're going to drop even lower. I did see some bear posts on Twitter over the weekend, essentially saying that we probably still have another drop. And then I've seen the other side. I've seen people basically saying, look, bear market's probably over. Now, I am leaning towards the bear market being over. We're already up about 34, 35% from the bottom in February, that 60K bottom. You guys have been seeing my charts. You guys have been seeing my tea leaf reading. You see not only what I've been saying, but I've been bringing you guys other metrics, other people saying the same thing. The on-chain metrics, everyone is basically looking at that 81. Now we're in the 80K range. It was 80 to 81K. If we break this 81K range, we could be on for a slow grind higher. And the whole Bitcoin's going to bottom in October idea is over. Actually, I'll put it out here. Full transparency here. I guess here's my actual TA for the day. If we don't see the May dump, remember Eric Balkunis did a tweet the other day giving you guys the data that we might have to retire the sell in May and go away idea. But I'll double down on that. If we don't dump in May, I think we can all confirm our bias here and confirm that we are probably out of the woods, that we are out of a bear market. I'm going to put it out there. You know, if you guys want some price predictions here, if we don't see an aggressive dump in May, I think we're out of it. I think the bear market's over. Again, I could be wrong. We could have another leg down, you know, until October or whatever, go down to the 60K range. But again, the 200-week moving average is now moving to 60K. So I think 40K is off the table. You know, I wish Nico was here today so I can make fun of him. Actually, no, if I made fun of him, then we would totally drop. All your models are broken. May the 4th be with you 100%. I was going to wait until June, but I am going to wish Bitcoin to 90K. My wishes usually come true. Yeah, 200K by November. Y'all tripping. I don't know about that. Tone Bays was bullish this morning and gave a 50% chance that the bear market's over. Okay, I didn't catch that. But now I'm not feeling so good on that prediction. No, I'm joking. I love Tone Bays. He's a good guy. But yeah, look, 50-50. That's a coin toss, bro. But I'm coin tossing the same thing. Like, I don't know, we're at 80K. Let me double check something here. We're still at 80K. Okay. I didn't jinx the price action here. But hey, I don't know if you guys are following along on the geopolitical stuff, but as we've been covering for the last 2-3 months, the geopolitical uncertainty has been the biggest dampening effect on Bitcoin. And, you know, since the beginning of this year, basically. But now, again, reminding you of an old report. And actually, shouts out to Luke, because he reminded me of that report. And he's like, oh, dude, remember we covered this. It's literally explaining what's going on. So look, as much as you may not like BlackRock, they're getting the signal out there for people. And it might not catch on right away. But, you know, you might want to get some Bitcoin just in case it does catch on. Finally, a bullish Opti. Bro, I've been bullish. I've been naively bullish this whole time. Let's see. Hey, Opti, another drop to 60K would go a long way to helping all the shrimps like me bring up. Hey, look, I agree. I'm just saying, if you are betting on the price going lower, or rather, if you are waiting to deploy your capital on the price going lower, it might not work out. That's why we always say DCA, timing the market beats timing the market. I would not be sitting there, you know, with a big fat pile of cash right now being like, I'm only going to deploy it all once it gets down to 40K. I would just do some form of DCA here, lump sum. You know, maybe break up the lump sum so that you get some at 80K so you can hedge your bet whether it continues to go up. But you still have some capital on the sideline so you can hedge your bet whether it goes down. That's the smartest move. That's why DCA always wins. Well, in the long term, if you are afraid of the volatility, DCA is one of the best strategies. I think if you look at the numbers, if you look at the data, I think lump sum basically outperforms DCA. I know you guys don't like to hear that, but I'm pretty sure lump sum outperforms DCA. But we are in a precarious time right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. Full transparency right now. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm like, man, I am feeling bullish. We're at 80K. If we go any higher, if we go into 81, 82K range, maybe we're out of the woods. But I'm also in this disbelief phase right now where I'm like, this is a sucker's rally. We're going to get cooked by the end of May. It's obviously the very beginning of May. I think some of the numbers that I've seen, I haven't really dove too deep in this, but I had a conversation with a friend, and he was basically saying that I've been tracking the price every month, and it seems like the first 15 days, and he's got a connection with, I think it was like, something to do with what normies buy around the 15. I think it was like Social Security or Medicaid or something. I forget what the details were, but the short of it is the mechanics is the first 15 days of every month in this year, the price goes up. And then the second phase of the month, the price goes down. And maybe you could also connect that with Sailor's kind of buying strategy, etc. But look, very interesting day. The day just started, so maybe we're going to see some more crazy stuff by the end of the day. Maybe tomorrow we see some more crazy stuff. Who knows what can happen by the time the markets close at 5 o'clock tonight. And then what happens later on at night, who knows? But we're watching some interesting stuff happen right now, and Bitcoin's at 80K. It's almost like Bitcoin is politically neutral money. Wait, politically neutral money, censorship-resistant money. And the world wants them. It's all happening now, guys. It is all happening now. How much is enough, dude? As much as you can get your hands on. It is never enough. Get as much as you can, man. And you can ignore everything they say. Oh, I know. I agree. Dude, if you're not tracking the price every minute, you know that. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways. Yeah, what would I say? Politically neutral, geopolitically neutral. It's the same. That's the same thing. Whatever. Anyways, for today's show, there was, I think it was Consensus Week this weekend in Miami. It's also F1 weekend. I don't know if you guys care about that, but there's an interesting clip from Arthur Hayes. I'm pretty sure it was at Consensus, and he's kind of explaining exactly what's going on here, but obviously he's giving a very bullish price prediction. And then if you were, look, I know I'm so tired of this as well, guys, so forgive me, but we did get a pretty big update on the Clarity Act on Friday. So we got some new clarity news. It seems like things have changed a little bit here. So that's for the news. And then I really got to give a huge shout out to Katie the Russian for today's culture. She covered what is happening in Europe, and it's not good. Okay, so that's today's show. I got a bullish clip from Arthur Hayes. We got a pretty bullish update on the Clarity Act. And for our European friends and brothers, it looks like y'all are going to get even more cooked. Another reason why you need Bitcoin. And in the case of what Katie the Russian does with Plan B, you might need a second passport, guys. Things are getting hairy out here. But anyways, I'll be right back. Quick commercial break, and we'll cover the rest of the show.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you're a serious Bitcoin buyer, you've probably hit the same wall. Most platforms make you give up custody just to play by the rules. Bitcoin Well Infinite fixes that. They're North America's only publicly traded, non-custodial OTC desk listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, which means transparent operations and zero counterparty risk.
You buy Bitcoin, you take immediate control, period. For trades over $50,000, you get a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, competitive spread starting at 1%, and immediate delivery straight to your own wallet. No custody risk, no withdrawal fees, just institutional grade execution with full asset control. If you want to buy Bitcoin the right way, book a free consultation at bitcoinwell.com/OTC or email infinite@bitcoinwell.com.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them down on paper. Paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
All right, guys, we are back. It sounds weird when I'm not hyped up. Sounds weird when I'm not geeked on coffee yelling at you guys. Anyways, the current Bitcoin price is $80,450. Wait, $80,450. The discount from all-time high is 36.2. Market cap 1.61 trillion. Guys, we're climbing towards 2. We're climbing back. Are we out? Are we out of the gulags? Are we seeing that slow grind higher? I don't know, man. Really, I want to believe. Okay, I want to believe. Anyways, the block height is 947,900. I repeat, 947,900. Okay, so as I was... Opti, you're the most bullish. I don't know, dude. Sovereign Hodl saying super cycle. I didn't say that. Okay, I'm not that bullish yet. I am feeling bullish. Like, you know, full disclosure, I am tentatively bullish. I am cautiously bullish right now. This 80K inflection point is very interesting to me. I think this week is going to be very interesting to see whether we, you know, get another kind of, if the bears are able to push us down again, where we can hold up. If the bears are already losing control and have lost control, maybe the fun is back. Opti just said cut. No, I didn't, dude. Hey, don't put words in my mouth, man. Don't put words in my mouth here. Anyways, if you want to hear some bullish stuff, then let me just play you this Arthur Hayes clip that I'm pretty sure was at Consensus Miami this weekend. If you want to hear some bullish, here's the actual bullish take.
To craziness. How do we get to Bitcoin at $1 million or $1 million plus, and whatever dog shit coin is in your portfolio is up 100x, even though it's a piece of shit and has no revenue and no clients? I know that's what you guys want when you say alt season. How do we get there? And it starts with understanding how the Fed votes, which board does what, and how we get to the eventual outcome that essentially yields to yield curve control. Now we are into quantitative easing because Bessent has all this debt he needs to issue. Right now he's not issuing that long end. He's afraid. Just like bad girl Yellen. She was afraid of the long end. Buffalo Bill Besant's afraid of the long end. It's all on the short end, which is why the Genius Act and all the stablecoin regulation is so pertinent, because they need a price inelastic buyer of these treasury bonds or bills at any price. But if they have control of the FOMC, who agrees that yield curve control is necessary to accomplish the political industrial goals of the American Trump administration, then now Bessent can issue trillions of dollars of debt, and the Fed is going to buy a majority of these bonds. And so we get $7.5 trillion effectively of Fed credit creation. That's how much their balance sheet grows between now and 2028. The second piece is this bank credit creation. So we have 3 years, multiply by 3, finger in the air math. And in total, we get to about $15.2 trillion of credit creation. What if we do it when the Fed and the Treasury are working together to print money and send, in their terms, the American economy into Valhalla? We get Bitcoin $1 million plus. And so this is why I'm very confident that the 4-year cycle is not really applicable to this particular cycle. We are in a reindustrialization of a military belligerent, and this is what's going to happen if they are able to gain control of all the levers of monetary policy. And believe me, they are very motivated.
God, look, I really hope he's true. Well, hold on. I guess maybe I need to clarify that. I want to see Bitcoin rip, but at the same time, I know that that is going to be at the expense of everyone that is holding not Bitcoin for their purchasing power. So it is kind of a bittersweet moment. I know Nico's made fun of me in the past. It's like Opti hates the middle class because he keeps saying they're going to destroy their purchasing power. I'm like, I've never actually said that. All I'm saying is we know what the game is and they have to continue to print. Now, in context of what we saw last week, where it looks like Kevin Warsh is going to be confirmed to be the new head of the Fed, and we know that he's basically got, elected or, picked to follow the Trump playbook or the Mar-a-Lago Accords, as we've been calling and hearing about for a long time, which is low interest rates and, of course, turning the money printer back on. So as Arthur Hayes was saying, if they're able to get that confirmation, if it's able to get passed through the Senate, and the Trump administration is able to, of course, handle the Treasury and the Fed together. Now, of course, I don't know if I covered this on Friday because I heard about it. Wait, Thursday? I think it was Thursday. Anyways, I don't know if I covered this, but apparently Jerome Powell is going to stay on the board of governors for the Fed. So I've heard a couple of different theories there where it seems like Jerome Powell, wants to, quote, maintain the independence of the Fed. And then also I heard one that seemed a little more kind of probably the truth, which was that Jerome Powell is kind of waiting until all of these court cases are completely, basically he's waiting till he's immune from whatever kind of political attacks that he might be facing right now, and that's why he's staying on the board of governors. So it might not be as easy as just getting Kevin Warsh in there and then Trump is able to basically align the Treasury and the Fed together. But it does look like they are maneuvering to actually control all of these levers. And as we've been covering, as every Bitcoiner has been saying forever, they can't stop this trend. They got to keep printing money. And we're almost at $40 trillion just based on what normally is happening. If that does happen within the next 4 years, $7 trillion added to the market or the national debt, or $7 trillion created. That's a lot of dollars sloshing around in the system with a potential to find some homes in Bitcoin. Hey, maybe we all are just not bullish enough. If you think I'm bullish, maybe I'm not bullish enough. Especially in the context of everything we're seeing. Wall Street embracing Bitcoin. We're seeing Bitcoin as a geopolitically neutral money. The nation state FOMO. Who knows what this, quote, latest special huge big announcement on the strategic Bitcoin reserve will be. I think if they announce that they bought Bitcoin, all gloves are off. It might go higher than all of our expectations. All our models are broken. Jerome Powell. Actually, here, let me read this. Jerome Powell movement is nothing more than part of the problem. I am very much leaning towards that same kind of sentiment. I did see some very interesting takes from some Bitcoiners saying that Jerome Powell was a patriot, that he actually did a very good job. And I didn't really dive too much into it, but just that statement, excuse me, guys, forgive me. Just that statement alone, it kind of like piqued my interest. I'm like, huh, that is a pretty interesting reframing of what we saw. I think the biggest one that I saw was British Hodl saying it, and I was like, that's interesting. Very interesting take here. Let me see. Interesting. I forgive me. I got it from Twitter. It seemed like someone was eating or something on the back end. And also, forgive me, I usually edit those, and I thought it was louder than it was, so I didn't double check. I know you guys yell at me every day because I'm late, but I was working literally right up until I went live today. So I missed a few things. Monday morning's been kind of hectic. But man, I don't know, guys. Are we not bullish enough? Are we not bullish enough? Do we have such bad PTSD from the last 2 cycles that we have all become bears? Say it ain't so. We're all bearish. We've put our hand on the stove for too long, and we forgot what it meant for Bitcoin to rip again and again. We forgot what it felt like to wake up every morning and Bitcoin just keeps going higher. Guys, all right, look. Side comment. If you've been in Bitcoin, I don't know, for the last couple of years, you may have not experienced what it feels like to wake up and watch Bitcoin rip all day. And it's ripping up until you go to bed. And you just having this thought in your head, like there's no possible way it can continue to rip tomorrow. Then you go to sleep, you get your nice, beautiful 8 hours of sleep, and you wake up and you're just like, it's even higher. Like it can't possibly do this again today. And it just does that for a 14-day period minimum. Feels so good. I really hope it's back on the table, man. Even Rustin shaved his weave. Was a rough bear market. Oh, man. Not bearish, just cautious. I mean, I agree. I am cautious right now. Again, I know I'm getting I know I'm kind of trolling, kind of having some fun. I wouldn't say that right now. Look, I think most of us are already all in, but if you're not all in right now, I would totally be cautious about going all in at this particular moment. I think it's still a very good buy. I think you're going to be very happy about these buys in a year or so. But if you are kind of expecting it to go lower, you might not want to go all in right now. So I agree with JRR tokens. I would be a little cautious right now. I am actually very cautious right now. I'm in disbelief. I think I'm in more disbelief than hope. I've only experienced losing money on Bitcoin. Hey, welcome to the club, man. This is how you earn your stripes. And basically, in 2017, I saw Bitcoin only rip. And I didn't understand Bitcoin at all. I basically got lucky. In 2018, when Bitcoin hit a bear market, and I had to deal with the make-believe amount of wealth that I made, which wasn't even that much. I was throwing like a couple $100, maybe $1,000 in, a couple $1,000 in, and it all just disappeared. That's when you got to really understand what Bitcoin is. So if you've been here only losing money in Bitcoin, but you're continuing to buy all the way down, trust me, you're going to be good. You're going to be good. Just continue to buy more, man. Anyways, let's keep it moving. I'm having fun and rambling on this. Honestly, I feel good this Monday, guys. Actually, shouts out to my boy, Mexico Huddle. I told you last week, he, DM me. He's like, bro, are you good? You sounded bad on Monday. I was like, hey, man, it's just the Monday blues. But today I don't have them. I'm like, oh, man, maybe it's because the price is going up. Maybe it's because I got some good rest this week and I actually made some good food. I treated myself well. I say it all the time. Sometimes you just need to eat good and take a nap. And life is so much better. Though I did go to the gym today. It was horrible. I hate the gym. Anyways, Clarity Act update. Seemingly bullish on it actually passing. I think the odds are starting to rise after this recent update we saw on Friday. So I'm going to cover that for you guys right now.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you already know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
Oh, sorry, guys. Just trolling in the chat. I'm seeing what's up over here with the Rumble. Anyways. Dude, guys, look. You guys are trolling me about the gym. If you like the gym, you're just not lifting heavy enough. I hate the gym, but I'm disciplined and I go, okay? If you like the gym, you're just not lifting heavy enough, okay? I do, what's it? I forget what it is. It's heavier weight, less reps. I'm telling you, it's horrible, but I gotta go, okay? So if you like the gym, I mean, I like the views sometimes at the gym, but if you like the gym, it's not heavy enough, okay? But we got to do it. Okay? Enough workout advice here, but we got to do it, okay? We got to do it. I hate it, but we got to do it, all right? Anyways, you guys aren't here for gym advice. Well, maybe you are, but anyways, here we go. Latest update on the Clarity Act, and I know I've been telling you guys for... I don't know, man. Since this saga started, last year or whatever? I don't even know. I feel like I'm so burnt out on the Clarity Act news, but it constantly keeps coming up and it constantly keeps getting delayed. And I think last week I told you, I'm like, this is the last time I'm going to talk about it because it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Well, lo and behold, on Friday, we got an update and it seems to be going somewhere. So maybe last minute, 11 o'clock, just in the door before midnight strikes. Here's the latest update. So Eleanor Terrett, of course, you guys know I'm a huge fan of what she's been doing because she's doing some pretty good journalism in regards to what's happening in Washington, D.C. and Bitcoin. So here's the latest tweet. I think I do have some tweets from what came out on Friday, but this just came out this morning. And I kind of love her work. So I'm going to plug Eleanor here. So tweet goes, new stablecoin yield deal clears path for Clarity Act markup. What's next? A key provision on software developers under Section 1960 is awaiting sign-off from Senator Chuck Grassley as the Clarity Act heads into final touch-ups before markup. Okay, so that's the tweet. Here is her breakdown of it. And it goes, the Clarity Act on Friday moved a step closer to a vote in the Senate Banking Committee following the release of the long-awaited terms of a compromise between crypto and banking stakeholders. The two sides have been wrangling for about 3 months to decide how companies should offer customers yield and rewards on stablecoin holdings. In a nutshell, the compromise lets crypto firms offer rewards tied to stablecoin usage and activity, but prohibits them from paying yield on idle balances. For example, users can earn perks like cashbacks on transactions or free or discounted memberships tied to platform usage, but cannot earn APY on funds simply sitting in an account. In other words, stablecoins can't mimic traditional bank accounts or high-yield savings products as many in the crypto industry had hoped. Instead, payment stablecoins will be used for, well, payments. As reaction on X made clear, the deal is exactly that, a compromise. Many in the crypto industry are arguing the blanket ban on offering yield hands a win to the banks, while banks are voicing concerns privately that the compromise doesn't go far enough to prevent crypto companies from finding loopholes despite a clause that restricts, quote, economically or functionally equivalent rewards. Broadly, stakeholder feedback reflects what lead negotiators Tom Tillis and Angela Alsobrooks had predicted. Quote, all of us will probably walk away just a little bit unhappy. That's what a compromise is, right? Anyways, crypto trade groups, including the Blockchain Association, Crypto Council for Innovation, and Digital Chamber, which represent a large swath of the industry, issued statements supporting the compromise and urging the Senate Banking Committee to move quickly to a markup. Some feel that while the compromise isn't ideal, it's enough to move forward and give the rest of the bill a chance. Quote, in the context of clarity, the industry should probably live with this, but the banks are clearly winning this volley. Banks, meanwhile, have yet to weigh in publicly since the release of the yield compromise, but have ramped up calls for changes in recent weeks, arguing the deal doesn't go far enough to prevent deposit flight or mitigate broader financial stability risks. Anyways, here is Senate banking staffer said, time for everyone to move on from yield. Banks should not turn a modest win into a loss. I think one of the big kind of notes that we did here was apparently Brian Armstrong was tweeting over the weekend, and I didn't pull it up. I honestly thought you was covering this, but oh, here we go. The exchange's CEO, Brian Armstrong, simply tweeted, mark it up. And then we did get the Coinbase's CPO or chief policy officer go on and say, in the end, the banks were able to get more restrictions on rewards, but we protected what matters, the ability for Americans to earn rewards based on real usage of crypto platforms and networks. So it looks like the Clarity Act now is potentially going to get marked up as soon as May 11th, which is the deadline that we've been hearing. So that would be what, next week? Wait, when's the 11th? Hold on, let me check my calendar real quick so I can give you the exact date. The 11th would be next Monday. So maybe this gets marked up as quickly as 1 week from now. And then basically, if it gets marked up, it's going to hit the president's desk and he is most likely going to just sign it through. So a real, I would argue, swift change here, a real fast change. Last week, I was basically saying, look, as far as all the news we know right now, it's probably like a 1% chance it's going to go through. It seemed like it completely stalled on the stablecoin rewards or stablecoin yield issue, which is always probably the most head scratching moment of this, because I thought that's what the Genius Act was all about, was stablecoin regulation. This Clarity Act was supposed to be for the broader Bitcoin crypto markets. And yet it seemed like they were using the Clarity Act to backtrack on the Genius Act. And we did see Trump kind of throw his hat in the ring. And it just kept getting delayed and getting delayed and getting delayed. Now, again, from last week, I was like, dude, this isn't going to happen. It's completely over. I think the prevailing sentiment was, I guess the best clarity we're going to get is from the SEC and the CFTC, their announcement of their joint venture to regulate, or rather write the rules so it better influences the Bitcoin industry. Well, Friday, game changer, I suppose. The odds, I think, are rising on this. I think I saw that it was like 44% now, if I remember correctly. I'm not the biggest prediction market guy. I don't really hold that much faith in the prediction markets, but it seems like odds are rising. It seems like people are starting to feel a little bullish of it actually going through. I'm still on the fence of like, I don't even know what else is really in this, because we haven't seen it. We don't even know what is in this thing. And again, even though I don't agree with Brian Armstrong very much, I do agree with the statement that I'd probably would rather have no bill than a very bad bill. And now it seems like we are getting a little too many compromises here. But it does seem like everyone is waiting for the Clarity Act. So, look, without me being pessimistic fields on this idea, if we get the markup by next Monday and it goes to the president's desk, because all it has to do is basically get marked up and then it's going to get signed off on. So, almost like a 180 change from where we were last week to where we are this week. Who knows what can happen in 1 week from now? Maybe I'm coming back and like, dude, I was hoping that we could talk about it for the last time. But that's the latest update, guys. I agree with this, actually. Odds passing isn't my concern. Odds of it being good for Bitcoin is. I totally agree with that. 100%. I think that personally, I agree with that. I'm personally more concerned about what is actually in it than of the odds passing, or whether it passes or not. I'm more concerned about what it is. You know, what are going to be the compromises? It's just going to be bad for us as individual holders. That's really my biggest concern. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's a long week, all right? It's a long week. Let's see what happens by the end of the week. But that's the latest on it, guys. So, you know, if you tuned out Friday afternoon, you might have missed this. But it looks like the very big contentious stablecoin yield, stablecoin reward compromise or concern, it seems like it's been flushed out. Both sides aren't that happy, which is what a compromise is. So it looks like it might get through. And basically the prevailing idea here, and maybe hold on, let me do the prevailing idea. The prevailing idea is that once Clarity Act passes, then we're going to see a huge influx of capital come into Bitcoin and numbers going to go up. Now, with that in mind, if it doesn't pass, probably going to see a sell in May scenario. But really, the bigger idea for me is like, what is even in this thing? It's probably going to be asked, to be honest, but it's probably going to hurt us more than benefit us. It's probably going to help the banks and the shitcoin companies build a moat. But hey, you know, it's Monday. I can't be too cynical. It's a Monday. Does the Clarity Act give us $1 million Bitcoin? No, I think it's only 250. Actually, I'm with my boy. Is it Senor Gringo Poppy in the chat that always says it's like, Opti, when are we getting to 150 again? I don't know, man. I'm with you. When are we? Look, I know it's going to 1 million. I know it's going to go to 250. I don't know when. I know it's going to, but could we at least get to 150K like in my lifetime? Like, you know, I'm sick. Boss, I'm tired. I'm losing my mind here in the studio. I'm tired. Anyways, let's wrap up the Monday show. I'll be right back after this last commercial break, and we will chat about how cooked Europe is, guys. It's, you know, it's sad. It's very sad, but I'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy, HIVE has quadrupled its global Bitcoin mining footprint and channels that same scale into high-performance compute, where their AI cloud is now ranked #1 in the world for network performance. At HIVE, you've got dual engines, Bitcoin and AI humming, roaring, accelerating in unison. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable digital infrastructure. You can catch the latest buzz at Hive Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money, it's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store.
Okay. Opti talking to imaginary people on the internet. Yes. I'm never going to live that one down, huh? I know you're real. It's just, I only see numbers here, okay? All right, anyways. Shouts out to one of my friends, personal friend, Katie the Russian. And if you don't know Katie the Russian, she built the company Plan B Passport, which is, or actually now it is Citizen X. Forgive me, Katie. It was Plan B Passport, where you can buy passports. She's basically been for years trying to educate Bitcoiners on, you know, land arbitrage, citizen arbitrage, where we're moving. You might want to be a little more mobile. That was her whole kind of business idea. It did get sold to Citizen X, which is basically just a rebrand. The idea is, in the fourth turning sovereign individual thesis, one of the ideal things that you want is freedom to move. That's why a lot of Bitcoiners love Bitcoin so much, is because, hey, if shit hits the fan in your country, you don't have to carry tons of bricks, and you don't have to be fearful of trying to cross a border with those tons of bricks, or your, you know, ounces of bricks, or your cash, or your jewelry, because it might get confiscated. As we've seen throughout history, that happens all the time. And that's why Bitcoiners, being very mobile with their wealth, should probably want some passports. Well, she's continuing to kind of educate different countries about what they're doing to their citizenry, and obviously why you might want to be a little more mobile and realize what's going on. Well, she tweeted this over the weekend. The European Commission literally just dropped a research on how to collect more taxes without making you angry enough to leave. The TLDR is higher wealth taxes, inheritance taxes, and exit taxes coming. And here is wealth taxation, including net wealth, capital, and exit taxes. But before I read her full thread, let's go over to the European Commission. Here's reports and studies, a database of reports and studies that inform our work on taxation. The European Commission regularly publishes reports and studies to better inform our work on taxation. You can see here, 2026, wealth taxation, including net wealth, capital, and exit tax. The study on wealth taxation, including net wealth, capital, and exit taxes, aims to provide a better understanding of these taxes, their interrelation, and consequences. Now, I will just read this blurb here before I give you Katie's take on this. So, wealth taxation, including net wealth, capital, and exit taxes. The study, wealth taxation, including net wealth, capital, and exit taxes, was prepared for the European Commission, Directorate General for Taxation and Customs Union. The report is split into two separate volumes. The first volume examines wealth-related taxes, while the second volume provides an in-depth analysis of selected countries, both in Europe and worldwide, to present examples of net wealth taxation. The report is set against a backdrop of rising concern about the distribution of wealth in Europe, the erosion of taxes on wealth and wealth transfers over recent decades, and renewed fiscal needs in the wake of multiple crises. Over the past 3 decades, private wealth in the EU and the EU has grown substantially and has become more concentrated among households at the top of the wealth distribution. Okay. So that's their blurb. Now, let's go to Katie the Russian's breakdown of this. She goes, while trying to figure out how to tax you more, they examined 5 categories of wealth tax: net wealth tax, tax on unrealized gains, realized capital gains tax, inheritance and gift tax, and an exit tax. The 2 they want to push hardest, inheritance and an exit tax. Inheritance tax is their top go-to. The, quote, great wealth transfer from boomers is about to explode the tax base. The report claims taxing inherited wealth has, quote, modest effects on entrepreneurship. So they want to close every loophole wealthy families currently use. Exit taxes are obviously my favorite part of the report. They want them applied to unrealized gains the moment you change residence. I also really like that part, quote, international mobility responses are often overstated. Translation, they have decided you will not actually leave. They are designing policy on the assumption that wealthy Europeans will just suck it up. They will close the exit door. They will call it standardized reporting while simply killing financial privacy. They will tax until nobody is left building anything. Everybody needs an exit strategy. Now, obviously, we've been seeing this play out in Europe for a long time. And I do kind of agree with Katie on one part there that, like, most of us don't want to leave our homes unless things really, really get bad. But what we have seen, at least in the US in particular, now Europe is obviously totally different continent, you know, totally different culture. But in the US in particular, remember last week I talked about the billionaire tax in California. It wasn't just about wealthy people and the redistribution of wealth from wealthy people. It was basically a backdoor attempt to tax everyone, or put another way, backdoor attempt from the government to steal as much as they can from you. Now, this is why I like the framing of the beginning of this. How to collect more taxes without making you angry enough to leave, or how to steal from you more without making you too angry to leave, or, you know, go even further. Now, obviously, on a very simple, high-level view, this is why you probably want to put some of your wealth in Bitcoin. If you are a wealthy European, if you're European at all at this point, you probably want to own some Bitcoin. As we've been covering for a long time on this show, the powers that be, the culture that is the driving force behind the powers that be, is they just try to milk as much of your wealth from you as possible. And they try to cloak it in these narratives that are feel good, that it's for the greater good, that you need to, pull your own weight, and the greedy rich people are taking too much. I don't know. It sounds like they're, wanting to steal from their citizens, but what do I know? I'm just an extremist Bitcoiner here. I just hold Bitcoin, and I don't trust politicians much. Full disclosure, full transparency. That's where I'm at. I hate backdoor tips. Yo, chill. Hey, yo, chill. This is a Monday show. Don't do me like that. But also, in the context of what Katie has basically dedicated her life to, is helping people be more sovereign. Obviously, it's not looking good. And the push towards maybe, some other form of passports that you are more mobile. I know, look, personally, it doesn't that really doesn't resonate with me, because I truly don't want to leave the US. It really does feel like anti-patriotic to me. Like, man, I can't give up here. I can't just get up and run. That's cowardice. But as her company used to be called, Plan B, you always want to have a plan B. And you don't want to be in a position where your government, because as we heard in the beginning from Arthur Hayes, they are belligerent military leaders, belligerent. Can I say bloodlust on YouTube? Belligerent tyrants, cultural tyrants. I think I could say that. We know what they want to do. And now, what is most interesting about where we currently are in the cultural zeitgeist, in the timeline of events, since 2010, what have we seen? We've seen a very strong push towards, as most of the kids say, a woke culture, ESG, police speech, thought police. And in the last couple of years, particularly the last couple of years, since probably 20, I guess maybe just last year, it seems like it almost seems like woke is dead. That was kind of been the prevailing conversation, that, less censorship on the internet. We can finally talk about things. Comedy's coming back. Maybe the world's healing. And then also BlackRock giving up on ESG. They're no longer pushing ESG. And then AI boom happened. And now we're no longer going to, boil the oceans. And we actually need more energy, but only for data centers, because AI is going to help us be more productive. And, AI is going to be so we don't have to work, and everyone's going to get UBI. And so we are seeing a different form of what was in the past. But with that being said, I think the victory laps that a lot of us have taken on Twitter, I think they're a little premature, because what's the saying? When an animal's cornered, that's when it's most dangerous. And it seems like from every angle, they are trying to maneuver to make sure that, one, they can track and bag all of your movements, which they basically already can, that they connect your real ID, not in the US, not the real, not the card, the real ID, but your physical meat space identification, your government name to a digital ID, so that they can get you on some form of WeChat of the West, a la what Elon Musk has been saying, or a CBDC, so that we are in a digital panopticon forever. And even though the attempts seem to be failing, they aren't stopping. And this is why, personally, I think we need Bitcoin more than ever. We need privacy tools in Bitcoin more than ever. And we've seen the attacks on privacy tools. We need people using Bitcoin storing their wealth in Bitcoin, using Bitcoin for buying goods and services. It is going to be a consciousness shift that needs to happen. And for lack of better, or rather, unfortunately, most people still think that we're the crazy ones. They're like, that would never happen. A lot of people still believe in the lie of government, that they're here to protect you, that they're here to serve you. If 2020 wasn't a wake-up call, if the last 5 years haven't been a wake-up call, that the government, the people in power are out for themselves, and they'll just cloak this in any narrative so that you fall for your own demise, so that you vote for the things that are going to hurt you. But of course, it's in a good narrative. Makes you feel good. We're still the minority here. There's still a lot of people that believe that. I guess it's our duty, not just here at Simply Bitcoin, but you guys, to try to get more people to understand where we are. And I don't mean by berating them. I don't mean by, calling them idiots and, you sounding like a lunatic, like Charlie Day on the chalkboard. We need some tact when we do this. And I'm probably not a good person to do this. All right. Full disclosure, I'm definitely not the guy to go out there and be calm, cool, and collective and tell the masses that, hey, man, they're coming after you. I'm not Paul Revere here. Well, maybe I'm more Paul Revere. Wait, hold on. Maybe I am Paul Revere. Yeah, maybe I am the guy, on the horse, sprinting through the villages saying, hey, they're coming. And then maybe it's you guys that now are more aware and can be cool and calm and collected and tell everyone around there, each one teach one. I know. These people can't be saved, bro. It's so unfortunate. That is the true black pill. That is the true, it's so over, is because the majority of people are just asleep at the wheel, man. But hey, the white pill is, it doesn't take that many people to make sure this doesn't happen. But we do have to make sure, who are the British? I don't know, man. I don't think it's necessarily. It's not one country. Okay. How do we say, it's a global conglomerate that wants to keep us in servitude forever. Anyways. All right, guys. It is. Was Paul Revere a silversmith? Really? Is that true? You're more George Carlin. Honestly, I'll take that. Look, I love George Carlin growing up, but he's a little more on the left, right? But I do like George Carlin. George Carlin's the GOAT. I'll take that. George Carlin of Bitcoin. He tells better stories than me. But wait, was Paul Revere actually a silversmith? That's interesting. Anyways, Davos is coming. Yeah, what's Tom Luongo say? City of London is coming. anyways, guys. It's a Monday show. I appreciate every single one of you guys, but that's all I got for you, man. I know. Look, George Carlin was funny. He was hilarious, okay? He was hilarious. I love him growing up. I still probably do love him. I haven't listened to him in a long time, but some of the clips I hear sometimes, I'm like, oh, still sounds like a collectivist. But hey, we can't shit on the shoulders. Can't shit on the people whose shoulders we stand on. Dude. All right, pause. That was gross. I'm sorry. That was That was gross. Anyways, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, man. Have a good rest of your day. You're another deal. Look, it's Monday. Get in the gym. I know 20 minutes ago I told you I hated it, but I'm disciplined and I keep going. What do I always say? Eat some good food, get some rest, get some sun, call your loved ones, get outside for a little bit. And of course, get some sun and outside. It's basically the same thing. Of course, buy some Bitcoin. Maybe don't go all in right now. Don't, smash by with all of your fiat currently, but definitely continue to buy some Bitcoin. You're going to really, really, really be mad at yourself if we start ripping up. Anyways, peace out, y'all. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.